Yes, sir.
Sure. Yes.
Okay, and we're being recorded, which is fantastic. So welcome, everybody. Welcome, students. We're so happy that you're here. We have a team of staff and faculty from New England College, and we're here to chat with you about our executive programs, our executive master's programs here at New England College. We've been running these programs in this format since 2018. We're quite experienced in doing it. And we've got a lot of information to share. We're very excited about our format, and we're very excited at the prospect of your coming and joining us. So we have we're going to talk with you about New England College in general, talk about our programs, talk about some of the practical next steps that you will take in your process so that you can enroll. We'll talk about the internship, which is an integral part of the academic program, and the CPT and work authorization process, how that works. And then we're going to run through questions that students typically ask so that you can, things that you probably, it'll be a kind of a summary to make sure that you have all of the key information. Now, during the presentation, you'll notice that we are like muting everyone. And so we apologize for doing that. We don't want to silence you by any means, but during the course of the presentation, so that everyone can hear what's going on, we found that it makes a lot of sense to for people's mics to be off. And then at the end, at the end of our presentation, after we're finished, we're going to stop our screen share and we'll open the mic up and so you can, and we'll answer your questions. So you can, you jot down your questions, think about them as we go. And if we haven't covered them, we will cover them at the end. So this is our team today. My name is Brad Poznansky, and other members, these are the other folks who you'll be meeting with, faculty members, admission staff members, international programs people, academic advisors, and so we will all introduce ourselves as we speak to you today. So first of all, about New England College. So we are accredited. Of course, we are regionally accredited, which is the highest accreditation level that a college or university can have in the United States. And by the way, our name, it says college, but in the United States, you probably know this, but maybe not, college and university is synonymous. It means the same thing. We have the same robust accreditation as any university. So we want to mention that and clarify that up front. You will notice as you study our tuition and fees versus other similar programs around the country that our tuition and fees are very competitive. And in fact, we have not increased our tuition for this program since it started in 2018. And we've not increased our graduate international tuition since those programs started in 2015. We are located in, we're so fortunate to be located in the, beautiful, safe part of the United States, right here in New England. You can see in the map, we're in the center of New Hampshire, actually southern New Hampshire. So if you're flying in, we're accessible from Boston. We're about a 4-hour drive from New York City. We'll explain why that driving will be important. It's for the 3 on-campus experiences that we have, the residencies that we have. We'll explain what that's all about. And then lastly, we are a friendly bunch. We are friendly. We get to know students. We are smaller than many large universities, so we have the opportunity to be able to speak and get to know students one-on-one. So my colleagues are going to kick it away here with this next to talk about the program structure.
Yeah, so hi everybody, I'm Brittany. I'm one of the international graduate admission counselors.
I do recognize some of your names. So I've probably worked with a couple of you, so I'm really glad to see you guys were able to join. So just to go over a little bit about what the executive programs look like. So how long are the programs? Both the executive MBA and the executive IT and project management are both 6 terms, which makes them about 24 months long. And throughout those 24 months, you'll complete 40 credits. The executive IT and cybersecurity program and the MS data science and analytics are both 5 terms. So those are about 20 months long and you'll complete 36 credits. Each term is about 15 weeks long and each course is worth 3 credits. So each term you will take 2 classes and you will also earn 1 credit through your internship credit. On to the next one. I think the next one's Bethany.
Hello. Hi, everybody. Yep, there we go. So my name is Bethany Jones. As Brad mentioned, I'm Assistant Director of Academic Advising. I will be your academic advisor for your time here with us at New England College. So the program is essentially a hybrid style. So prior to COVID, every term would run 15 weeks. And within that 15 weeks, we would have a 3-day residency where students would come to Henniker. When COVID hit, we had to find a solution, which thankfully we did. We did virtual residencies and thank goodness for Zoom. So, but that is changing effective summer 2. So I'm not sure if students on this call are summer 1. So if you are summer 1, your residency will be virtual. It'll be the last term that you have a virtual residency. But if you are coming in summer 2 and beyond, so if you come in summer 1, your next term will then be fall 1. You will have an in-person residency. So there's 1 weekend in the term. We do try to get you those dates with as much in advance notice as possible because we know many of you are not always an hour away. So you have to make proper planning. And essentially you would come here Friday, check in, make sure you're all set, get your schedule for the day, and then you would have class Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So you're looking at essentially 3 times a year coming to the campus. Brittany and I are currently working on developing, thank you, Brittany, shout out, a residency page to kind of provide some really great information for you, maybe accommodation suggestions nearby, food suggestions, maybe like a campus tour virtually so that you know where to go, because I know it can be very confusing, especially only being here for 3 days. But essentially, yes. So if you're coming in summer 1, your residency will be virtual through Zoom. You'll be, emailed by your instructors. And if you are coming in summer 2, and again, beyond that, you'll be emailed. Our first residency, I believe, has just been finalized, coming back August 4th through August 6th. So we look forward to it. We like seeing people in person. As much as I do love Zoom, I do also like seeing people in person. So yeah, and if you ever have any questions, let us know.
Perfect. Next, the fees, tuition and fees.
Okay, I think that's me. Hello, everybody. I'm Stephanie Ziskel, and I'm one of the admissions counselors. So been emailing with some of you. So it's great to see you all tonight. And just briefly, this slide is really well done. It tells you the rate per credit, the fees that you'll expect, and the total estimated cost of the program. So just to remind you, tuition for that term is due Friday before the term start. And how it works is when your CVIS record is transferred to New England College, then you'll sort of move forward with your enrollment as we've outlined in your next steps. So it's really important that you review your next steps. It will tell you at what time in the process you will pay your tuition. So if you haven't transferred your CVIS record yet, you can't pay your tuition yet, but you will have to pay it Friday before the term starts. So for some of you that might be kind of a quick turnaround if your CBIS record is transferred on Thursday, for example. So you'll need to keep that in mind, that you'll have to like create your My NEC account to log in, make sure you have access to your NEC email, all of this so that you can pay your tuition on time. Okay. And there is a monthly payment plan available too, which is really great for executive students. And you'll receive information on that via email. And Student Financial Services can always assist you too if you have further questions on the monthly payment plan, or you can just reach out to your admissions counselor.
So I think we have Rick Mitchell jumping in.
Hey, everybody, glad to meet you. Before I get started, I just wanted to mention one thing about our program. At this level in the US and grad school, the folks in the academic side and the staff side develop professional relationships with the students. It's very common. Just to let you know that several of our graduates are now working for us as instructors. It's something we found has been really good for both of us. And we have developed professional relationships. We collaborate professionally with a lot of our graduates. So that's a really important aspect of our programs, is the relationships that our professors, instructors have with their students. And on staff, on the IT side, we have some really very talented folks working all over New England and programming and cryptography and networking. So it's a really great staff. And I think that's something you'll be really pleased with. Our data science program is one of the hottest topics here in the US. I was just reading about job opportunities in the US. With all the data that's out there, this is something that people are really looking for. And we use R and Python and various analytic tools to give you guys the tools to be able to look at data, clean data, construct data, visualize, and report on data. So this is a really valuable program. I think that a lot of you will be able to use this to your advantage professionally. What do we have next there? Do we have the other program?
We've got a picture of some guy up on some sage on the stage. Who is that?
Looks like he's about to take off and fly away. Yeah, sometimes I go a little bit overboard, guys. I'm sorry. I get excited.
That is Rick Mitchell standing up on the stage in our Putnam Center for Performing Arts.
And that's true. I'm only 3 foot tall. That's, you really can't tell by the video, but I'm actually quite a normal height. So this is the other program that is really hot, cybersecurity. We actually blend it with a kind of an overview of IT, giving you backgrounds in databasing and network and some programming. But again, this is the other program I think that there's a lot of work opportunity. And the thing about IT, guys, is not so much individual jobs in cybersecurity, but every job in IT touches security. So if you're going to be a programmer, this is important. You're going to be a network guy, this is important. You're going to be a database analyst, this is important. Looks good on your resume and is good to know in the workplace. So I would say this is another program that we're really proud to offer our executive students.
Okay, now we're going to kick it over to Dr. Katrina Kerr.
That would be me. These are my programs. So one of the newer programs that we started offering last fall is our MS in Informational Technology, the IT Project Management. And that is definitely going strong. We're really excited about that because it serves to help those that are in a technical field and are either currently managing projects or trying to move in that direction and move up in a leadership role, to help better prepare them, not only for the day-to-day, but to also help them prepare to sit for the PMI exam. So this is one of the things that we saw that there was a need for, and we've seen a number of students from our data science or from the cybersecurity then move into this to just really add a nice layer on top of what they've already studied. And then one thing I'd like to add that we need to make sure you get on the slide, Brad, is our the MBA and the executive MBA have received ACBSP accreditation. So not only are we regionally accredited, but the 2 MBA programs that I oversee have an additional global accreditation. ACBSP is a global group that certifies programs that are not just business programs, but business schools as well. So all of our management programs have received this distinction, and we're really excited about that. So it just adds another level that we are, we're on the right path. We're doing the right things. It is really tied to, our deliverables, process improvements, ways of constantly challenging our faculty and our students. So we're excited about that. And I really love the MBA because we have a number of students that will come in and they're new to a leadership role, and the MBA really helps them understand that broad business picture. But then I've also had a number of students over the years come in from the technical side because they really wanted to take what they know and move up that ladder and try to work towards more of a managerial role up towards, a much stronger leadership role.
I'm so glad that you pointed out ACBSP.
It hit me when I saw your slide and I didn't want to interrupt you. I said, I'll just bring it up. So we want to make sure that we update that for you guys.
That is hugely important. Thank you. And so some next steps.
Okay, so this is the first slide of our next steps. So once you've been accepted to New England College, your next step is going to be to request a CVIS transfer from your current school. So our CVIS transfer deadline is the Thursday before the term start by 4 p.m. So that means that we have to receive your CVIS by that date. You can always schedule a future transfer out date with your DSO. So if you haven't done that yet, we do highly suggest doing that. It just speeds up the process a little bit and just makes that last minute kind of shuffle a little bit easier. Once we do receive your CVIS record or get notified that it's going to be sent to us, we will send you your NEC credentials, which Stephanie had touched on earlier. That will include your NEC email, your Blackboard, things like that. And then once you receive those credentials, you'll also be registered for your courses by Academic Advising, and they will send you an email with that information as well. And then Steph, if you want to touch on the next slide.
Okay, sorry. Okay, so after your CVIS record has been transferred and your have your credentials, you will receive your new New England College I-20 from your DSO here, your new DSO. And then attached to that email is what's called the EAF. And that is the form that your employer will have to sign off on. So this you will get at that point in the process. And just a reminder that the internship is required for this, and you must have the internship by the first day of classes. And we've been notifying you of this requirement, so that should be new information. And after that, you will have to wait 1 to 3 business days for your CPT authorization from your DSO. So that's, you'll have to submit the paperwork in time to get your CPT. You cannot work until you have that I-20 with the CPT authorization, okay? And then also pay your tuition, and that's after you're registered for classes. That's that Friday though, so you will pay your tuition before you get your CPT authorization for most of you. And that's due Friday at 4 p.m. You'll get email reminders for this too. So that's an approximate cost of the first term there, $3,264. Okay.
So this is, Stephanie mentioned the internship. We've mentioned it several times. And to speak about this and some of the factors around it is Susan Wayman, our PDSO and Director of International Programs.
Hello, thank you, everybody. Glad to be here. We're really excited that you've chosen NEC and we're all here for you. My team, my office will be all your DSOs. And the really cool thing is at NEC, you are assigned one DSO that will work with you for your entire program. You'll have access to them every single day. They're responsive. And this one is called Sean Salento, who will be working with this incoming group. Sean is one of our most experienced DSOs, so you're going to be quite happy working with him. Why do you need a DSO? Our job is to help you maintain your F1 status so that you don't get into any non-immigrant regulation problems. We know you're very experienced, most of you who are transferring in. We know you already know how to maintain status. But marrying up your status with NEC policy is also something we help with. Your required internship, the vehicle for that is CPT, as you know. You'll get 2 I-20s. The first one will be your transfer initial I-20. And then after you submit and complete the EAF form and submit that through its steps, your DSO, Sean, will then give you a second I-20 that will have CPT authorized. And that'll be on page 2, and you'll look at the date, and that date will tell you exactly when you can start working again. So it's all a very smooth process. The team works very quickly to turn those around for you. Really pay attention to next steps that Brittany and Stephanie talked about. It's all very detailed right there. So the main thing we try to tell you, the minute your SEVIS record transfers, your employment ends and it doesn't begin again until you have CPT authorization. So just don't forget that part. I'm Susan Wayman again. I'm the director, and the DSO team reports to me, and I help them solve any types of problems that may be beyond the normal. So I just hope you'll get to know me as well.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. So we've had some people join after we get started. So these FAQs, frequently asked questions, we're going to review and to kind of cover some things that you may have missed and summarize what we have covered.
And then Susan, I don't know if you're okay with jumping on some of these. I think you might be the best person to answer most of these.
Sure.
Oh,
The
great.
first one, any one of us can answer, but I'm happy to jump in and try to go through the list. So transfer SEVIS, the final date is Thursday before the start. We hope you'll do it earlier than that. But I understand some of you are trying to not have a big gap between employment. But you have to have it to us by Thursday. If we don't have it Thursday, we're going to have to defer you to the next term. It's a really hard deadline, so please plan ahead. Can I work after it's released? No, don't work after it's released. The regulations state at transfer of the SEVIS record, all OPT ends. That's just straight up Regulation 101, so don't do it. When will you get your CPT authorization? You will turn in your EAF form to the EAF at nec.edu with all the signatures. Then you'll get it back. Then you'll send it to your DSO, and Sean Salento will turn that around very quickly. So if you get it to him on Tuesday, you'll have it by Thursday or Friday. If you get it to him on Thursday, you'll have it by Friday or Monday. If you turn it, so basically he works really hard, we all do, to make sure if you get it to us by that Thursday, you'll be working by Monday or Tuesday. That is if you do your role and get that EAF form filled out. And I believe, Brittany, do you have a sample of it so they know what they're going to be filling out? Is that something that you're providing?
Yes, yep. And I think that a few of you might have asked for that. So you should have received a sample EAF just so you know what it looks like. If you haven't, feel free to reach out to your admission counselor. We can send that to you so you can plan accordingly. It's
Yeah.
just a sample document so you can see what's expected of you to fill out.
There's nothing complicated in it. I'll tell you, the one thing that you're gonna have to spend a little bit of thought and time on, the federal government requires that this program of study that you've chosen has a direct relationship to what you're doing and learning at your job site. And there's thing called a statement of learning. And you're going to want to spend some time being very specific about how the job is related to the program of study. The federal government requires it, and there's a section on the EAF where you'll be able to craft that. And if you have any trouble with that, the EAF at nec.edu staff, they will coach you on that. But we really don't find people having much problem with this EAF form. It's very straightforward. Just follow the directions on it and you shouldn't have any problem. You can start your internship when CPT is authorized on page 2 of your I-20. The second I-20 that you're going to get from us will have on page 2 the start date of CLP. You cannot start your internship until then. You'll be enrolled in the course and you can log into the course, but don't work until you have CPT. Yes, do I have to be employed for this program? You must be, and you need to have this internship lined up before the program starts. You can't be looking for a job when you enroll in this particular program. And we do not help you find one in the sense of we don't place you, but we do have resources through our career and life planning office that could point you in a direction to look. The problem is if you haven't got a job now, you might be not leaving yourself enough time by May 15th to find one. But if you're hot on it and you're in the hiring process and all that stuff, then you could. So we don't want to discourage anyone. We just need you to know that it's a school policy. You have to have this lined up by the time you start. Right, Stephanie?
Yes, and it can be unpaid as well. So it can be an unpaid internship. It can be what is it, 25 hours? Is it 20?
20 hours. It can be part-time at 20 or up to 40. Anything after 40, you have to get special permission from your program director because you do have to be engaged. Here's the thing, and this is a federal government thing too. Your main preoccupation is the studies. It's not the work. So you're going to have to put an emphasis on your studies and then your work, right? We don't want you to say, I'm too busy. I can't, do my studies. So just bear that in mind, which comes first. But yeah, part-time or full-time is perfectly fine.
And to kind of piggyback off of what Susan just said too, a lot of the questions we get is how much time am I going to spend on schoolwork throughout the week while enrolled in the program? Dr. Kerr, I don't know if you want to touch on.
Yep, I was just going to jump in. Yep. So students should expect to spend approximately 25 hours a week on their academics. And that's for both of your classes and the internship. So that's readings, that's assignments, that's discussion posts. All of that is built in. So you may find that there's some terms you're really interested and it's an easier class for you. So maybe it's a little less than that. And there might be other terms where the material is brand new and a little more challenging and it might be a little longer than that, which is one of the reasons why, we really want our students to be successful and to stay at that 40-hour mark. That doesn't mean, if you have an occasional week here or there, you're working a little over, that's okay, but it's not something that should be consistent, and an expectation. We really want you to be able to balance that because if you're working 40 hours a week, add another 25 hours for your schoolwork, you're already up to 65 hours a week. And that's a lot. So we want to make sure that you're successful and that we are helping you set yourself up for success.
Katrina, maybe you could touch on that. the schedule of the online classes? Are there set times?
There
or
aren't
is
set
there-
times, you know, the nice thing about this being, you know, it's hybrid. So you're going to have what we refer to in education, you're going to have asynchronous work and then synchronous work. So a lot of the asynchronous work would be, you know, you're doing it, your readings, you know, you're jumping on discussion boards. You know, Stephanie could post something and then 2 hours later, I happen to go in and I'm commenting on, you know, Stephanie's post, or I'm posting my original work, or I'm working, you know, on papers or assignments. So there isn't a set time that you need to be online in that class in Blackboard. When we have the synchronous part of your class, you know, and that's where I always think at same place, same time, when you are, if you're coming in for summer one, you'll have one more term with the Zoom residencies. Those are very specific days, very specific times. Those you absolutely cannot miss. You can't be late. You cannot miss those. If there's anything that is going to keep you from showing up and being able to fully participate, you need to reach out to your program director ahead of time. All right. And these change every term, but we work with the faculty and we've really done our best to make sure that we're taking into consideration our students that are on the West Coast. And most faculty will hold these later in the day, usually early evening, and they're spread out during your term. But you would have a schedule provided. So for instance, if you're new in the MBA, you would have somebody providing a schedule for hours for leadership and for communication for your two classes. But as you move forward, if you start summer one, your next term would be fall one, and that's when we'll see you here on campus. And those will be 3 full days, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, that you would be engaged in that in-person learning with your cohort, with your classmates, and expanding on what you're learning in the classroom.
Okay,
that
thanks,
helps.
Dr. Kerr. So the asynchronous part means essentially at your own pace.
Yes, that's the Blackboard
At
piece.
on
There
your
are
own.
deliverables. So, you know, things are going to be due on Thursday or things are going to be due on Sunday night. So there are due dates and deliverables, and that's they spell it out. It's very clear in your syllabus. So that's something you always want to make sure at the start of the term you read completely. And if something's not clear, just ask your professor. You know, they're happy to answer questions because we want to make sure things are clear. But one thing we don't do really well is we don't read minds. So you want to make sure that if you have a question or, you know, you're struggling with something, let us know. Reach out to your instructor, reach out to your program directors, advising. And if one of us gets a question that we can't answer, we know where to go to get the answer, and we will help you get the answer that you're looking for.
The other caveat there is that at the very beginning in that first week, there is a review done on participation at NEC, right, Katrina?
Yes.
Say something about that so that they understand it's asynchronous, but those deliverables are deliverable.
Yes.
Go ahead.
So all students, if a term starts on a Monday, students, let's say we have a term let's say it's starting this coming Monday. You, as a registered student, would have access to the course shell on Friday. So you have a preview weekend, and in your first week, there are key assignments that you need to complete. And it is a confirmation of attendance. It's generally going to be your week 1 discussion board forms, and there may even be an assignment or a quiz. If those assignments are not completed within that first week, and our weeks will always run from a Monday to a Sunday, then when faculty report attendance, they're going to report you as not being in attendance because you haven't done the work in week 1. And Bethany might want to add on top of that, because when Bethany then gets those reports for non-participation, then emails go out letting you know that you've not participated, it's been reported for this particular class, and that is not something we want to see happen. So it can't be, oh, I was busy at work, I was having computer problems. If there's something that is keeping you from your academics, you'll always hear Bethany and I chant a mantra: proactive communication, just as you would at work. If there's an emergency, something that's keeping you, from work or finishing a project, anything like that, you'd reach out to your boss. As an F1 student, you want to reach out to us because your academics, that's the priority. We know you're balancing both, but the academics, that has to be the priority. Does that help, Susan?
Yeah, you know what, everybody, let me just give you a big commercial, and I think Bethany would also agree with this. We
Oops.
do such an excellent job of helping you all stay on track, and how we do that is we actually use NEC email. And I know that's not always everyone's favorite thing to have to use the school email, but our acceptable use policy is we have to use that, right? So you should be checking that regularly, daily, because why? If we see you are getting off or in trouble or something like that, we will let you know before, it's too late. So we really want you to see us as your partners, and to help you remain eligible to study and continue and meet all your wonderful goals. But we have had students get into problems because they don't watch their emails, and so they miss communications from us, and we hate to see that happen. So just wanted to put that out as a commercial.
Yeah, I'm glad you raised that, Susan, because that's really important. And we stress that when we do the orientation with the students. But I can't stress it enough, because think of it with your healthcare records. Everybody knows HIPAA, the privacy, they can only communicate with you. Same thing within higher education. We have FERPA, and faculty and staff will not answer emails that come from your personal emails when you're an accepted student and you have your NEC email. We share all kinds of information. Your faculty will send information through the email account, staff, anything. There could be a closure, there could be, any type of information. But one of the things I want to stress, and we're running into problems, is do not set up a forwarding. Do not forward your NEC email to a personal account. We've been running into problems where students are not receiving the emails, and everything that faculty and staff are sending is being kicked back, including important information about residency sessions.
That just happened to me today with a student, and I don't know what's going to happen because they're not getting my emails. So
yep. So I've had to reach out to our IT to get the personal email, to send an email to a student to say, you need to let me know you received this email and that you have turned off the forwarding. So you can set email up on your phone. There's probably 5 or 6 emails I follow on my phone, and set it up on your laptop so you have access to it in a couple different places.
And to kind of piggyback off that as well, part of your enrollment process is getting your credentials. If you are having issues logging into your email, if you did not receive your credentials email during your enrollment, please reach out to your admission counselor, because we can help, but you need to let us know that you're having trouble accessing those things. We also have the help desk that can help, but that's also, just because you can't access it, you need to be letting us know, because we won't know if you can't access it either.
Okay. At this point, I think what we can do is open it up for questions, and feel free to open up your mics, and if you are able to raise your hand, we will call on you, and we'll try to verbally answer your questions. There are quite a few people. Yes. Go ahead, Taufik.
Hi, Brad. Thank you so much for this session. I think it answered a lot of questions I had, but I still have one more question. and I was wondering if you can help me with that.
Sure, go ahead.
So, in terms of the SEVIS and the CPT, I'm working with my HR to make sure that I'm following the due process. But their question is, do we need to redo the I-9 for me? Because I've been working at this place for 2 years now.
Yeah, you do. So the I-9 is what HR uses to show your eligibility to work. And right now, if you're on OPT or STEM OPT, that's your eligibility to work, right? That ends on the date of your transfer out of your SEVIS record. That ends. And the new eligibility to work becomes CPT, your I-20 with the CPT endorsement.
Okay, that's good to know. Thank you.
Okay.
You're welcome. Ali Syed.
Hello, everyone.
Hi there.
I have a quick question regarding COEL form. Since I didn't get it yet, I don't know. I am too early to expecting it, or how do we get access for COEL form?
Yeah, the EAF will come when your SEVIS record transfers.
Actually, I'm already having my data analytics here in New England College, so my SEVIS is in NEC already.
So if your SEVIS is here already, okay.
Asked about the COEL
I think,
form.
yeah, change of education. law.
Yeah, so that comes from my office. So what happens is once you've confirmed your program, my office checks our list every day and we'll update that list. So you probably are on it today. So we usually try to check it each day and then we'll send off the email. So you're probably gonna get it, if not today, by tomorrow, if you're on the list.
Okay. So I should expect it by tomorrow, right?
Probably, yes.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Yeah,
It
of
means like
course.
I'm not supposed to do any extra step to get that.
No, and if you don't get it by tomorrow, feel free to email my office, Student Services, and we can send it to you.
Thanks a lot. Thank you.
Of course.
And then Brad, we had one from Wenlu in the chat. Susan, it was regarding if they would be able to renew their F1 visa with NEC's I-20.
Oh, okay, so I probably need a little more information on that. But technically, if you are currently in the United States without a visa, that's perfectly fine. You may remain in the US, you may transfer. When you need to renew it is if you plan to leave the US, then you would not be able to get back until you have a renewed visa. And then whatever school currently has enrolled you, you can use that I-20 for your new visa application. Yes.
Thank you. Costanza?
Yeah, hi, thank you. I'm working with my HR too. They were asking me if I need something like a new offer letter with a start date of the 15, or I will be in not paid period for the time between my service is transfer from one school to the other. So they were just asking if we need some papers for the
So
start.
Costanza, that's such an excellent question. And our advice is it's cleaner if you have a new offer letter that starts, when your internship with us starts. That's cleaner. Some of you are going to be doing H-1B visa applications in the future or some other status, right? And you're going to get RFEs, which is going to ask you to give evidence of everything that you've ever done. And since OPT employment ends, some people like to get a brand new clean offer letter that starts the employment term at the time CPT starts. So Costanza, if they're willing to do that for you, tell them yes, please.
No,
Some
yeah,
don't.
they're not sure if they can because they cannot, let's say, fire me. They can
Understood.
just put me as an active.
All right, so then basically you will use the same offer letter you used before. That's what most people do.
Okay, because I asked in case if they can write something down from the lawyer saying that I will stop working the 10th, let's say, and start working again the 15 or when the
Yeah,
CPT
you're
starts.
very smart. I think you're being very proactive in that you're planning ahead to be able to demonstrate and prove you did not work from the end of OPT to the beginning of CPT. So any documentation you have there is going to be helpful in the last, eventually.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, Shanil.
Hey guys, thanks for the great session. I think my question was kind of on Costanza's line as well. Currently, I'm working with my HR partner, with my employer. They have not done this before, and they think right now that to put me on unpaid leave, which will be for those up to 3 business days, they would have to basically close my job, open a new job rec, and extend the offer. So yeah, I guess I got a clarity on that from previous question. So yeah.
So I don't really know how paid leave would look to USCIS if they ask, did you work at the end of OPT and beginning of CPT? So I don't know. If you have an attorney that you're working with, ask that question. Not an expert in what USCIS uses as its tests to see if you've been in compliance. So I can't answer on behalf of you for your HR department.
Yeah, no, they were talking about the unpaid leave, but the thing is that the way they have done this before, when they give an unpaid leave, is that person should have a continuous work authorization. Now, in
Yeah,
this
we've
case,
been telling
yeah.
students that it has to be unpaid leave during that gap, because on the books, you're still an employee, like you're authorized to work. So it'd have to be like some sort of unpaid leave of absence for those that time.
You should not be getting paid during your leave. That's still employment. And the regulations, and you can go read them yourself. Go look up Study in the States OPT, and it will very clearly tell you your employment ends at the transfer of your CVIS record. Then you can look up CPT, and you can see that CPT begins at the date that the DSO has authorized it. So you put those two together and you realize that little gap in between, you shouldn't be working.
Right. Okay. Sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you. Parth, you're next.
Hello, good evening, everyone. Nice to see you. I have a question on the residency weekend, and I was wondering if there are any accommodation options on the campus or around it, and if you guys can help with that.
Yeah, I'll take that. There are not accommodation options on the campus, unfortunately. There are many hotels within the region within southern New Hampshire. So I think now I'll kick it over to Bethany as to, I think we provide names of lodging opportunities, right?
So Brittany and I are working on currently, so the 3 sort of major, I guess, cities in New Hampshire are Concord, Manchester, and Nashua. Concord is roughly about 15-ish to 20 minutes from Henniker. Manchester's about 35 to 40, and then Nashua can get up to an hour. Of course, this is all hoping that there's no accidents or traffic. But essentially, those would be like the 3 in New Hampshire that we would suggest. Brittany and I are going to work on some suggestions. I mean, there are tons and tons of places for people to stay, but hopefully one of those 3 will be helpful in terms of being close enough where, you can travel under an hour to the campus.
And I think, Rick, you might have mentioned this at some point too, that a lot of our students kind of find Airbnbs in the area and try to rent houses like that together and things like that. So
yeah, if you look online, there are people who actually stay in Henniker, in a town called Hillsborough. It's like 10 minutes away. So lots of options for people who can check things out.
Cool, thank you.
Okay, Shraddha,
Hey everyone, am I audible right now?
yes, you are. We can hear you perfectly.
Thank you. So thank you so much for hosting this seminar. It did answer a lot of my questions. I only had one question. So my actually F1 visa expires this July. So if I'm planning to travel outside of US, let's say in December, and like, will I need to get my F1 stamped before I enter states? And is it advisable to travel outside of US on day one CPT?
Okay, so this is such an excellent question. I'm glad you asked it. Yes, if you leave in December, you will not return to the US without a new visa, in your passport. So there have been students who have taken the risk and have left, and then we get the email, what am I going to do? I can't get an appointment, or they're holding up my application, it's in review. What do I do? What do I do? So it is a risk. I'm glad you asked. It's a risk, and we have no control. It's so difficult because we can't control the consulates and their appointments and all of that. So Shraddha, it is a risk.
Okay. Okay, yeah. Actually, I thought so that too, because I did get in touch with many other people who have done day one CPT, and everyone has advised like not to travel outside of US if a person is on day one CPT and if one expires. But thank you so much for sharing insights on this, and thank you so much again for hosting this seminar. That's it.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay, Rui, bye.
Yes, thanks for answering our questions. So my question is, when should we expect to receive the EAF form? My understanding is that after we transfer the CV's record to NEC, we will receive that form. Am I understanding correctly?
Yes, you are understanding correctly. When your CVIS record releases to NEC, then your DSO does what's called a transfer initial, puts in our information, and then sends it back to you, because that's your lawful presence document, our transfer initial document, while you wait for the term to start. And on that email, he will send the EAF, but you have access to see what it looks like before that, because Brittany has offered to send a facsimile of what it looks like so that you know and you'll be prepared. You can literally fill it out in 5 minutes if you're prepped. And then you can send it to your employer, who can sign it if they're prepped. Then you send it to CLP. So literally the process could take, an hour if everybody's ready. And then CLP will look at it. That's NEC's group that reviews it for suitability for learning, and they'll sign it. They give it back to you. You send it to your DSO, and Sean will turn it around as quickly as possible.
Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. Vaibhav?
Thank you. That was a brilliant pronunciation of my name. Thank you. And thank you for the great session. It's been wonderful getting to know all of you. The one question I would have is, in case I go for an H-1B, let's say next year, in case I go for an H-1B, am I guaranteed to have an RFE, or is there any data of former NEC students getting RFEs for their H-1Bs?
Everybody gets RFEs, and we have an RFE at nec.edu process that we use. It's very effective. We have never missed a deadline. A student has never missed a deadline by using this process. Now, here's the thing I would like to say, Vaibhav, especially since you brought it up. One of the things that comes up in every RFE that we've ever seen is you have to keep meticulous records, keep every syllabus, print it off, keep it. Keep every I-20 you've ever been issued ever in the United States. Keep all your travel records that prove you came to campus, if you're not going to be living up here, in Henniker, which most of you won't. If you keep all these records, you will be well positioned to provide what you're supposed to provide, and then we will provide what we're supposed to provide.
Awesome. Thank you for the clarity.
Great. Okay, Parth.
Hi again. I had a follow-up question to what Shraddha asked. It's related to travel. And if your F1 visa isn't expiring until, let's say, 2024, is it still risky to travel with a new I-20?
No, not at all. There should be no problems whatsoever. If your visa is still in force and you have our I-20 endorsed for travel, which we will do for you, then you should have literally no problems traveling. Now, at the border, CBP can ask you anything. So we usually say, bring a copy of your course schedule, bring a copy of your transcript, bring a copy of your financials, have that all in your carry-on, because you never know what they're going to ask you. But if you have your visa is still valid and you have I-20 with the travel signature on page 2 from your DSO from Sean, then you should not have problems.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you. Aditi.
Hi, I had one question regarding the SEVIS. So if I'm interested in joining your July summer semester, that is the summer 2, and I wanted to start my SEVIS transfer and get my CPT authorized, how early can I do that?
Your CPT cannot be authorized until July, 7th, Brittany, the start of the term?
10th, July 10th for the executive.
So you cannot get CPT authorization to begin work as an NEC student until July 10th.
I see. But the SEVIS can be transferred earlier.
Yes.
Yeah,
Once
the
you-
earliest is May 16th.
Okay.
No sooner than May 16th, but you would lose your work authorization
Okay, got
if
it.
you had
Thank you.
work authorization.
So wait, can I just ask a question? Why can they not transfer it earlier than May 16th if they're finishing their program? Because a student has to transfer within 60 days of the end of CPT, and then they don't have to start for 5 months.
If they're finishing their program?
If they're finishing OPT or their program, yeah.
Okay. We'll have to look at that closer because our instructions tell them they have to start at the next available term start.
That is only for students who have not finished their program. If they're continuing students, they have to start immediately. Yes, that is true. But if a student has finished a master's degree and now they're on OPT, and their OPT is ending today, they can transfer
Okay,
their
that's
CVS
right.
record to us, but they don't have to start till July. They just can't work.
Okay. Sorry, I mixed it up with the continuing students.
Correct, right. So if you're finishing, just remember, the minute you transfer out your CVS record, your work authorization ends until you have CPT authorized.
Got
I've
it.
been-
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Aditi. I've been looking forward to saying this name, Mona Lisa. Mona Lisa, you're next. You can ask your question. And this will be the last question for everybody.
Thank you so much for this session. It was really helpful. I had 2 questions. One was a follow-up to Parth's question earlier about if your visa is still valid. I believe the visa states like the university that you were with. Is there an issue if it isn't consistent with New England colleges? Like
No,
Okay.
no, the only time that is important is when you first enter the United States,
Okay.
you have to report to that school. After that, it does not have to match.
Okay, perfect. My other question, I guess, was I think we mentioned earlier that if I was doing the summer one program, the next term would be the fall program. So in that case, because there would be that break between the summer one and the fall, are we still allowed to work during that period, or how does that work?
So Mona Lisa, I'll apologize. That's my poor explanation. So we have 6 executive terms. However, depending on what term you come in, they're 15 weeks. So if you come in summer one, your terms are summer one, fall one, and spring one. And so you're looking at typically like a week or 2 max between the terms.
But
oh,
they
go
can
ahead.
get authorization.
Right.
So we close those gaps for you, Mona
Yeah.
Lisa. So if you do summer one, let's say, and you are allowed to extend your your CPT request with Sean, your DSO, and he will give you those 2 weeks prior to the start of the next term so that you have a seamless continuation, but it's a renewal. It's a CPT renewal form. You'll learn about that when you do your orientation with Sean. So we close those gaps. Once you've started at NEC, you can go for the full entire time of your program with no gaps in your work, as long as every single term you do the renewal of your CPT request.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much.
Yeah, if you come in summer 2, so for anybody on here who might be summer 2, it's opposite. So you'd be summer 2, fall 2, spring 2. So you think of it that way. So if you come in on the 2s, you always follow the 2s. And if you come in on the 1s, you always follow the 1s. We try to keep it consistent, but yeah, I apologize. That was my fault.
It's a
Good question.
trimester. It's a
Yeah.
trimester program.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay,
Radha-
so maybe one last question.
Radha, did you have another question?
Yes, I do. Thank you so much. So I'm not sure if this question is for immigration team or the legal team, but my question is, let's say if my H-1B gets picked up in March 2025 lottery, and my executive MBA program ends on 15th of May 2025. So then how the visa transfer would happen that time? Like, what would be the repercussions on this scenario? And will I be allowed to live in states from June, July, August, September until H-1B gets active in October?
So no, there's a deadline. Your best bet, why don't you put that question in writing and send it to me, and I'll give you a very specific answer. So it's swayman@nec.edu, and I'll answer you tomorrow. There's a time frame. If it expires by a certain date, then you're covered. If it expires before that date, you're not covered. So you're gonna have to just let me dig into that for you, okay?
Susan, why don't you put your email in the chat?
Yeah, I was about to say that. Thank you so much.
I can do that. It says chat is disabled.
Sorry, that's my fault. Hold on.
No apology necessary. Okay.
Okay, now you should. And then Steph, I'm gonna put our emails in the chat too, just in case they need to follow up on anything.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm gonna do it to everybody. Okay, so I'm putting in S. Wayman for you, Shraddha, and I'm also gonna put in international at nec.edu, because that goes to the DSO team. We're happy to answer stuff about the non-immigrant status as you get yourself prepped.
Fantastic. I think that my colleagues at New England College would all agree that these are wonderful questions. They're informed questions, and we thank you for them. And boy, do we look forward to welcoming you when you come to our campus, or we'll probably first see you online.
Yep. Thanks,
Have a great evening,
everybody.
everybody.
Thank you guys all for
Thanks,
coming. It was nice to
everybody.
see you.
Guys, have a
Bye.
good night.
Great meeting you all.